Good evening. Good evening, kings and queens of the land. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the liberated zones of Africa. Good evening to Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traore, Captain Ibrahim Traore. Good evening to Niger, led by President Abdurrahman Tian. Good evening to Mali, led by President Assimi Goita. These are all Sahel states which were under the French colony, liberated by the barrel of the gun by the African lions of the Sahel states. President Ibrahim Traore, President Tian, and President Ibrahim Traore. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. Good evening to, let me not forget, to KwaZulu-Natal. Good evening to President Zuma. Good evening to the MK Party, the Liberated Zone, KZN in South Africa. This is the only liberated zone in the British colony. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. This is the royal opinion. In the British colony, in the year is 2025, date today is 20, what is the date? Is it 29 or 28? I think it's 29, 29th of March, 2025, under the British colony, since they colonized South Africa in the 1600. The Dutch came to colonize South Africa earlier, taken over by the British later. The British have since colonized South Africa from then up until today, in which President Zuma and the MK Party have tried to liberate or are in a war to liberate South Africa, and also to join in the Sahel to liberate the rest of the continent, the young lions of the Sahel. Um, Today, I want to talk about the reason why President Trump invited President Traore to the White House. What was the reason? Why did Donald Trump invite President Ibrahim Traore to the White House? What is the reason? That's what we're talking about today. But before we get into the deeper issues about it, I wanted to comment about one of my followers followed me in another channel where I commented in another issue. The issue was about Duduzile Zuma. And I appreciated Kencon. Kencon is the one who requested me to have, he requested the royal opinion about the issue about Duduzile Zuma, because that's what they were talking about in that video. The video was about Duduzile Zuma, who was seen wearing a T-shirt written "Try Me, Boys." So a lot of people are making that an issue and talking about that as undermining the secretary of the MK party. Let me say my views about it. Let me give my views about it in order to get into the main issue that I want to discuss today. But let me say, Duduzile Zuma, for me, she doesn't seem to have a negative. Uh, uh, I mean, she doesn't seem to be somebody who is conniving against his father. She seems like somebody who is been misled, of course, by other people. She is someone who is never been involved in politics before, and she's someone who grew up hiding basically from the people because of being the child of President Zuma, who was all over. She was born in Mozambique. A lot of issues about children of struggle heroes. A lot of issues about children of struggle heroes. Let me acknowledge your presence, Melo, and is asking, "Are you high?" Melo, and why do you talk slow? Okay, let me let me let me comment about it. A lot of people are very what can I say? A lot of people are very impatient or intolerant. That is the word I wanted to use. A lot of people are intolerant against other people. You know, my family talks like this. I was born like this. My father talks uh, slowly, just like this. My mother as well, from her side, she's not talking quickly as. So this is how I speak under normal circumstances. I speak slowly. A lot of people, some other people even suggested that I should actually use the speed what for YouTube, because somehow there's a lot of intolerance for people to be themselves. When people are themselves, they are supposed to actually talk like others and look like others. If they are not acting like others, then something is wrong about them. If they are not talking like others, then something is wrong about them. People, every human being is unique, meaning every human being uh, has got his own characteristics which are cannot be matched by any other person in the planet. Some walk slow, some walk fast, some talk slow, some talk fast. If you can be able to recognize that fact, I think maybe we can be tolerant to each other. I was only answering because that's something that a lot of people have talked about when I'm presenting my live session. People are impatient about how slow I can talk, but this is the nature of me. I have never been tempted to increase the speed of my voice through AI because that would be unnatural. I'm even uh, giving myself space to breathe when I talk because when I'm talking, when you are not talking lies, you can give yourself space to breathe so that the people that you are talking to can digest what you are talking about while you are uh, breathing a little bit or taking a break from your presentations. So I'm not even afraid to do that because what I'm talking about most of the time are solid issues. I'm not talking about issues that are nothing at all. Okay, that took a little bit longer. It made me even more slowly. But what I want to talk about, I was still commenting about Duduzile, that I think she's not a dubious person. Her intentions are not uh, dubious. She's got the best interest of the MK party, and she's got the best interest of black people and her father. The only thing is that other people, there are other elements inside the MK party who have been. This should be expected. It's actually at a scale which I did not even expect it was going to be. President Zuma has been able to keep a lot of negative elements out of the MK party, amazingly, because that I expected more havoc inside the MK party than we're actually seeing at the moment. The MK party is more organized than I actually imagined. So Duduzile Zuma, in my opinion, the royal opinion about her is that she's not a dubious person. She's got some twisted ideas that she got from the people who are trying to infiltrate MK party, but she does not mean to destroy the MK party. Some make, for those who are making the issue, to say when she's wearing the t-shirt where quoting Julius Malema, who was quoted, I think he sent a tweet at some stage when I think it was Dalimpofu was referring to Advocate Dalimpofu, Floyd Chibambo, and Zwanele Mai. He said, I'm not sure if Mzwanele Manyi was part of these people, but he said, try me, boys. So Duduzile was wearing a t-shirt saying, try me, boys, which is a statement which President of the EFF, the CIC, Julius Malema, has made. So I think, in my opinion, there's nothing too much to read out of that, because it's basically even helping black people to unite, because the main issue here is actually the unity of black people. Julius Malema is a sellout. The fact that we call him out that he's a sellout, it does not mean that we hate Julius Malema. Julius Malema is not our enemy. The EFF is not our enemy. Our enemy is the white system, not even white people. It's actually the white system which the white people have implemented. But then it's not every white person who knows even that there's even a system existing. Most of the white people don't even know that there's a system existing. They just find themselves living in this system. So uh, basically, the enemy that we're fighting, you can send another message. Whoever is in class can actually announce their presence. Much appreciated. Click the like button and subscribe. So I was still remarking about, I lost my trail of thoughts, but I was still remarking about Duduzile Zuma and her wearing the t-shirt, Try Me Boys. The t-shirt, Try Me Boys, may even be attractive to the EFF members. This is politics. It could work as a strategy. She could have meant, or she could have meant tried to direct that to Floyd, but it's not harmful to the MK party, and it's not harmful to even Floyd Shivambu. There's no reason why anybody should attack her for that. I personally can, if I want, every time I talk about negative things about what Julius Malema does, but I can still quote him if I want to quote him on some of the things that he once said, because there are other things that he's saying which are actually valid. In actual fact, what his talk is valid. The only difference is his action. His action is different from his talk. That's the difference. So, but Duduzile Zuma may be naive about it, or maybe strategic about it. I don't know, but I don't think it's a big issue that people need to really dig deeper and look at the uh, all of those things, because those things are, there's nothing there. There's no issue about discipline. There's a lot of people whom Fikile Mbalula said he was going to discipline in the ANC. I have never had anybody in the media asking, when are you disciplining Tony Engeni, for instance? When are you disciplining uh, uh, Panyaza Lusofi? For instance, I have never had people asking Fikile Mbalula those questions. But every time when the MK party have got a press briefing about other issues, they ask about the disciplinary issues of Duduzile Zuma in the MK party, which is totally out, because they seek to divide the MK party. They want Duduzile Zuma to be isolated, to feel isolated or alienated from her father's ideas. That's what they want to do, so that President Zuma should not have the support that he is having in his family. They want to strip him off the support. So those negative elements should be guarded against. Wearing a T-shirt saying "Try me, boys," not a problem. It does not offend anybody. Try me, boys is just try me, boys. Who is getting offended about it? And who is getting affected about it? Because offense and affected is something else. There's a difference between getting affected and getting offended. Okay, that aside, let's talk about the issue that I actually wanted to talk about when I came. The issue that I announced that we're going to talk about today here. I was just passing a remark. I found myself talking a little bit long, but I wanted to just remark about it and give clarity for most of the people who follow me, because I don't like when the people who follow me get confused. So now, the reason, let's talk about why President Trump invited President Traore to the White House. President Ibrahim Traore decided that his country will be food sufficient in 1 year. What does that mean? It means agricultural processes that are taking place in Burkina Faso to ensure that Burkina Faso can actually feed itself. It means the American companies which were exporting food to the Sahel states, meaning Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, The population of these countries is around 95 million, if I'm not mistaken. So food has been coming from Europe, from France, and from America, from the European countries to Africa, especially to Burkina Faso, because they said Burkina Faso is actually a barren land. Can you believe it? They were even teaching children at school that their land is barren. They can't plant anything in their land, while it's actually a lie. It's a fabrication. So President Ibrahim Traore have decided that his country is going to be self-sufficient. There's a lot of agricultural projects that are going on in Burkina Faso, meaning the companies that are exporting food from America and from Europe now are suffering because they have to export food. It's not only actually food, they're exporting with the food, they're exporting sickness to the continent. When I say they're exporting sickness, it's because the industrialized food, the processed food that they're exporting to us, to Africa, to African countries, nobody knows what they put in there. Most of the time, they put dangerous stuff. They actually put very dangerous stuff, which end up causing sicknesses. So they are not exporting only food; they are exporting sicknesses to Africa, from Europe to Africa. They export from America to Africa, exporting those sicknesses, all type of sicknesses. The reason they export these sicknesses is so that your the population can be dumbed down, the intelligence of the people in the African countries can be reduced by these dangerous chemicals that Africans are consuming, that comes from the European countries, who are actually their enemies. And secondly, it's for them to make more profit as you grow. When you eat those GMO food, when you eat all those poisonous food which is exported to us, when you eat those things, you can't reach 50 years before you are on pills, on drugs. So you have to be permanently on drugs. So they actually export the sickness and bring the solution as the pharmaceutical industry. And as well, in the pharmaceutical industry, it's not like they want to heal you. They maintain, they give you drugs in order to maintain the sickness in your body. So it's not like when you are in chronic medication, then you are healed. It's only the maintenance of the sickness in the body so that you continue to be the client of the pharmaceutical industry. So President Ibrahim Traore realized that these people are actually the ones who are creating all this havoc, eliminating a lot of people before their time, because food kills a lot of people in Africa. Dangerous food kills a lot of people, kills a lot of people. Cancer is not a sickness, it's an industry. Sugar diabetes is not a sickness, it's actually an industry. Those sicknesses are actually exported through the ships to Africa. So this is a very dangerous thing that these people are doing, because they give you the through the food. You have to buy the poison as an African. You have to pay for the poison. And when you are paying for the poison, you also have to pay the tax for buying the poison. And when you get sick out of the poison, you also have to go and buy their drugs, which will only maintain the sickness in your body but keeps you sick and alive. You're not going to enjoy your life in that way. So, uh, more African children and more African men have been sterilized through this behavior of these European companies in Africa, bringing food that destroy the seeds of African men, that destroys the seeds of African women as well, their wombs. So President Ibrahim Traore first rejected that thing. Now the American companies that were exporting food to the Sahel state have got a crisis. That's the first issue that made President Trump to invite President Traore to the White House. President Ibrahim Traore and uh, basically the Confederation of the Sahel state have done something huge, something massive. Besides the food sufficiency that President Traore seeks, the Sahel state have started their own bank. The Sahel state were banking with France. Actually, their money were printed in France. All these three countries, all the countries which are colonized by France, their money is getting printed in France. All the countries that are colonized by Britain, like South Africa, their money are getting printed in Britain as well. So the Confederation of the Sahel state decided to establish their own bank. The initial deposit in that bank is $900 million. This $900 million is in gold. The three countries have contributed their gold commodities to start this, to initiate this bank. This bank is going to, the reason they started the bank is for the bank to be able to print their own money. The money is not paper money. That's the first thing. The money is actually backed by gold assets. The money is backed by gold assets, meaning when we say money is backed by gold assets, it means if you've got a particular amount of money, you can go and claim for the equal amount of gold as equivalent to your paper money. In 1971, President Nixon of America decided that America's dollar is no longer backed by gold. What is the reason they did that? It was for them to be able to print more dollars because they did not have gold. So if they say their money is backed by gold, it means if you want to claim that paper money, if you want to exchange that receipt, the paper money that they give to you, you can get an equal amount of gold from their reserves. So President Nixon just cut that out And the reason why the American dollar has been able to survive is because the American dollar has maintained its status as the world trading currency. What it means when we say that the world trading currency, it means every transaction that goes around the world takes place in dollars. And every transaction that happens, you have to buy the dollar. And then after buying the dollar, is then that you can be able to pay for for the goods that you wanted to buy. If the people, if you are not buying your stuff from America, they also have to exchange that dollar to their own local currency. So they have to pay as well on the other side to convert it to the other man. So this America has been trying to guard. We will remember that President Gaddafi of Libya was eliminated because he wanted Africa to start a currency which will be backed by gold. This is a very serious thing for the United States. Very, very serious, because this is the only thing which is holding their money, or which is holding their paper money to have value across the world. So the three countries have decided to start the bank. What it means is, among themselves, they are using a common currency. If they are using a common currency, is the elimination of the dollar transaction between these three countries, which Donald Trump does not want to hear. He does not want to hear that there are countries which are small or big, which are eliminating trading in dollars where they are. It was not only Donald Trump, it's also all the American president. This is a very, very uh, serious issue which would collapse the American economy if people adopt it. The reason Trump is fighting with BRICS, it's merely because of this issue, which will BRICS want to establish a new payment system, which is going to eliminate as well the use of the dollar. So that's why they've been going against the BRIC countries, the BRIC countries. They've been trying to fight the BRIC countries. That's why they've been going against South Africa, they've been going against Russia, and they've won a war in India because they've been able to install their men or their political party in India. Uh, Americans or the American powers are afraid of losing their dollar money. So President Ibrahim Traore has started this bank, and he said this bank will be able to direct, they will be able to control the investments of the bank. It means the people of the countries are going to have better access to loans, those who want to start businesses. When you go and borrow money from the IMF, this bank will help the Sahel state not to go to borrow money to the IMF. President Traore has paid up his debt. The IMF debt has been paid up. Burkina Faso does not owe anybody anything. These European countries, what they do is when uh, when you go and borrow money from the IMF, when you go and borrow money from the IMF, the interest rate that they are charging is massive. The Sahel states were paying 45% interest in their borrowing from the IMF. So President Traore, all the Sahel state does not owe anybody anything at this moment. They've basically paid up their debt. And President Ibrahim Traore requested their collateral because this state are required to put, they were required to put gold as a collateral for when you take, for when you fail to pay your debt. So that's why African states have got a lot of minerals on the ground, but then don't have any mineral in their reserves because all the minerals have to be taken out as collateral. Those collaterals have never come back, will never come back. President Ibrahim Traore has finished paying the debt of the IMF, but and he has challenged France to give him back his collateral, meaning give him back the gold which Burkina Faso gave to France as collateral if they fail to pay. Now they've been able to pay. France is refusing to give back the gold. America is refusing to give back the gold to Burkina Faso. They are blatantly refusing, saying no, they can't give back the gold, but the state has already paid up all that debt. So when you go and borrow money from the IMF, what they do is they charge very high interest. And besides the higher interest, you have to pay the collateral, meaning in your gold assets. They only give you money, paper money in dollars, but you have to give them gold to back the paper money which they are giving you. So the gold that was given to all these countries now, Burkina Faso and Niger and Mali have decided that they are no more going to give gold collateral to all these European countries. They are going to establish their own bank, establishing their own bank, meaning they will do their own investment, they will direct their own investment. One of the things that these people do when you go and borrow money, they tell you how to spend the money. And they tell you, the first thing that they are going to tell you is how you should run your government in order to recover the money that they borrowed you. If you borrow the money, they control how you should run the government. They control how you should raise the taxes, when and by how much when you go and borrow this money. But this money as well, they don't really come to, it's not given to you to control it. The money is given to still the American companies to come and implement the projects that you want. Let's say you go and borrow money because you want to build a bridge. They will tell you which companies are going to build the bridge. They will give you that as a condition. And they will give you instruction on the people who are going to be employed on the project. So basically, when the IMF borrow you money, it means they control title everything, and all the money goes back to their companies. So it's a lose-lose situation for African countries. So when the Sahel states came together and decided to say no to this, then President Trump is having a problem, a serious problem about it, and he wanted to talk to President Ibrahim Traore in order for him to, for the Sahel state to stop what they are doing to eliminate the use of a dollar among themselves, to actually become a federation, because they want us divided. When we are divided, then they are able to take a lot of money from us. All the visas that we apply to go anywhere in the world comes from the European countries. All the visas that the money that you pay to apply for visas goes to American and European companies. So those, we can call them criminals. Those are just criminals. So Ibrahim Traore and the Sahel states have changed all of that and made, this is massive, created their own bank, and it's working. So this is the reason why President Trump invited President Traore to go to the White House, to visit their White House, because they are worried that the people will no longer be needing the medication that they were needing. Because if you eliminate their food, if you don't eat their food that they're exporting to us because it's poisonous, then you won't have the sicknesses that Africans are suffering from today. The cancer industry, the sugar diabetic industry are going to collapse if African people decide to stop eating their food, because these sicknesses are exported through food, through this industrially processed food. All sorts of complications. Depopulation projects are carried out through these food products, which comes from the European countries, which are our enemies. So if you stop, if you make Africans self-sufficient in terms of food, then you eliminate a lot of health issues that are caused by the food. The craziness, the children that are so agitated. You see, most children are very agitated because of the bad food which gets to be given to these children, dangerous food that are given to children everywhere. We blame Pakistanis and Indians pass a shop for selling dangerous food, but everybody is selling dangerous food. Even the supermarkets, they are selling these foods that come from European countries. Those food are very dangerous for consumption. Every human being should be eating food that comes from their own land, things that can grow naturally from where they are, where they are actually located, or where they were born. So President Ibrahim Traore first causing suffering to the American companies which export food, causing suffering to the American companies which are exporting sicknesses, causing damage to the American companies which are exporting the drugs to maintain the sicknesses in Africa, and causing damage to the dollar itself by establishing the Sahel Bank. That's why I was invited to the White House. I actually doubt if he went to the White House if he was going to come back alive. I doubt if he was going to come back alive because he's wanted dead or alive. These are the African men who have rejected these colonial laws and colonial policies. The reason today there's even a conflict about the budget that is supposed to be passed. It's actually supposed to be passed on Monday. They have to pass it because the 1st of April is the start of the new financial year in South African government. They have to pass it. But there's a stalemate. And the reason there's a stalemate, it's because of the IMF, which gave them instruction to raise the colonial tax to 16%. In actual fact, they gave them instruction to raise it to 17%. But then, because of they're afraid of backlash and all of those things, they decided to raise the colonial tax to 16%. The ANC has decided to raise the colonial tax to 16%. I say 16% because they say they will raise it by half a percentage now and also raise it by half a percentage in the coming financial year. The suffering that cause to black people, because these are just colonial tax that we will have to pay to the queen for existing, for having a head in her colonial land. There's no reason why you should pay VAT. There's no reason why we should pay VAT. Besides the fact that we owe it. We owe when we eat, we owe our food to the queen. So we have to show gratitude by paying VAT. When the women go on menstruation and they need pads, uh, they owe their existence to the queen. They have to pay the queen for going on their natural process. This is what the people are subjected to. This is what, this is the reason why the youth of Nigeria today is standing. This is the reason why today in South Africa there's havoc. Many countries or many people in Africa think that South Africa is actually a cool country and very less problems. Black people in South Africa are in a different standard than anywhere else in the world. Totally untrue. South Africa, one of the most unequal society in the world. It's actually the most unequal society in the world, not even one of. The poverty is extreme. If you go to go to Tembisa, man, go to Soweto, go to Kaelicha, you will see extreme poverty. Even villages are better than those slums because those are just slums. No human being is supposed to be living in those things. But black people are subjected to live in those things in South Africa because of the hostility of the American Empire, the British Empire, and the sellout politician, the slave trader themselves, people like President Ramaphosa, who is a slave trader, people like Julius Malema, who is also a slave trader. Those are very dangerous people which allow the system to exist among us by cooperating with the white system and the white people. It has been beneficial for them to do it like that in the name of taking care of their families while selling other families out. In the name of taking care of your people while selling other people out. Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, click the like button. Don't forget to click the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you very much for joining this live session. Thank you very much, the only person who commented, um Melo, and I'm not sure if you are still part of the people who are here, but thank you very much. And thank you very much for all those who are subscribing to the channel. I take everybody serious, and I actually enjoy being with you, ladies and gentlemen, even though I can't see you. So thank you very much for your grace, and thank you very much for following my channel. Um, and thank you very much for your patience as well. Not only patience, your, what was I talking about at the start of the video? Your tolerance, because I was saying people are intolerant. Your tolerance to allow me to speak and to give me your listening while I actually speak very slowly and don't normally look the way you would like to see an African look like. For me to be accepted, I have to look to cut my hair because if I have this if I keep my natural hair, then I'm unclean. No matter how many times I wash in a day, I remain unclean because I'm keeping my natural hair. So many people are unable to watch this channel. Some expect me to appear in a suit, which I don't. Many are unable to be tolerant about it. So the voice, the hair, and the appearance, the clothing, is a deterrent for many of people to actually listen. But I know exactly that that is a deterrent. And I'm like this intentional. I do this intentional. I appear like this intentional because I want the future to know that the African man existed in this form in 2025. The African man is no more. You can't meet an African man. And the African woman is, it's even worse, is no more. You only have these toys, dolls, that appears like African people, but the African woman is no more there. They don't exist in their natural form. So now I want to keep myself natural in order to give a statement to the future that the African men and the African women existed in this form, with their in their natural form, uh, just like this. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching.